No one's hiring me because I've never worked in tech. No one wants me because I don't have XYZ skills. I hear this all the time, but that's not a background problem. It's a clarity problem. If you think your background is a problem, it's not. You just don't know how to talk about what you're great at. And that's killing your chances at landing the job that you want. You want the remote job, the six-figure job, the this job, the that job, and it's available to you. But you do need to change your mindset and you do need to walk away from a deficit, I don't have enough, and realize what you do have, right? I don't know if you listen to the Michelle Obama podcast, but she's always talking about, or even my leak teal, it's all about take stock of what you have right now and use that to move forward rather than um, t- taking count of what you don't have, right? And ultimately, what I mean by this is you cannot sell what you don't understand, right? So if you don't know what you bring to the table, every interviewer starts to feel like an interrogation, right? Every interview is an interrogation, even when you're writing your resume, because your resume is a marketing tool. So if you don't understand your value, it's hard to market it. Am I you? Yeah. Okay. So rather than having a conversation, rather than marketing yourself, whether it's a resume or an interview, it becomes a frustration point, right? So it's not necessarily a confidence problem, it's more of a clarity problem. And clarity starts with understanding what you're actually good at, not what your last job title said, right? And people get stuck because they think, oh, I've only worked in HR, or I've never worked in tech, or I don't have this, I don't have that. And the thing is that tech isn't this like magical place, right? It is simply a company that has all the same functions pretty much anywhere else you've ever worked at has, but the language that they use is geared toward the tech that they're selling. That's pretty much all it is, right? So when you maybe want to move from from HR to customer success, you need to lean into what skills do you have, and the skills you have, whether you're coming from insurance, whether you're coming from finance, whether you're coming from nonprofit, is probably the reason why you're even drawn to customer success is communication, problem solving, empathy, stakeholder management. All of these things, if you're coming from HR in any of the industries, you do every single day, right? And it's not about just, oh, these are my transferable skills. I'm good. I'm done. It's like, okay, how have your transferable skills moved the needle? How have they impacted something? Because in this economy, it's all about how are you making the company money? How are you saving the money and or saving them time? So the issue isn't that you don't have the skills, is that you haven't learned to translate them into a new context that says, hey, not only do I have these skills, but I know how to use these skills to make you money. Once you deliver that statement and you show proof through your resume, through your projects, etc., you will be hired, right? Because we're just going to focus here on HR, and hopefully you're not just hearing HR and like counting yourself out, but you're thinking about your own situation. And if you need more help drilling down into your situation, by all means, reach out to me and we'll do that. But for the sake of this video, we're just going to do the HR to customer success manager route, right? Because CSM is like one of the more easier routes to get into tech, right? So HR folks are often already doing the kind of strategic relationship management that CSMs get paid for and get paid well for, right? You just call it a different name, right? So here's some examples of what it is. So onboarding, when someone gets hired, you need to onboard them. In CSM or in CSM, not even in tech, in a CSM role, you would call this customer implementation. So if you are writing your resume, rather than writing onboarding, you would change anything you have in your resume that says onboarding, you would change it to customer implementation, right? In HR, you onboard new hires. You walk them through policies, tools, culture, the 50, 11 places you can find information, all of that, right? That is your job, right? When you're onboarding a new hire. As a customer success manager, you onboard new clients, right? So you're guiding them through the product process, best practice, so they can reach their goals. So, you can say something like, I've led onboarding programs to ensure new users are confident and fully equipped to succeed within their first 30 days. Or I've led customer implementation to ensure blah, 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 blah. And who's your customer? It's the employees that you were onboarding, right? And don't think too hard about this, right? Every single person you support is your client, is your customer. So if you onboarded 10 new hires, you onboarded 10 new customers, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what you're getting your metrics on, right? So you might as well use it in your advantage when you're switching over. So my first thing was onboarding now becomes customer implementation. The second thing is employee relations. Employee relations comes customer relationship management, right? And you might even be using the same systems to do this. So in HR, you manage employee relationships, you mediate issues, and you build trust across departments. In customer success, you manage customer relationships, you anticipate friction, and you maintain trust through consistent communication, right? So you could say something like, I build long term relationships by anticipating stakeholder needs and resolving issues before they escalate. And here I want to add one more thing because a lot of people save tech to be like a certain section of their resume. This is where you incorporate tech. What do you use to keep people up to date? What do you use Notion? Do you use a specific system to send out surveys? Do you use Zoom? Like whatever you do, you do little clips? Do you use Jira and Confluence and the whole Atlassian suite, right? This is where you start inputting and saying, like, I use these tools to get these results, right? So you don't have to be in tech to use Atlassian. You don't have to be in tech to use Zoom, but you use it. And those are the same things that we use in tech. So why not make yourself the same, right? All right. Also, sorry. So I think we just talked about employee relations becomes customer relationship management, right? And then three, performance reviews. So everyone knows this. You have to do a performance review in any company that you're in, right? People call it all sorts of things, step backs, 360s, whatever. Your performance review season is the same as a customer health check when you're a customer success manager, right? So in HR, you conduct performance check-ins to measure engagement and progress. Yeah? In customer success, you run quarterly business reviews or health checks to measure outcomes and plan next steps. So you would say something like, I regularly assess stakeholder satisfaction and performance metrics to identify opportunities for improvement and retention. And this is where you can start putting in numbers. So earlier I mentioned you can use tools for this. Here I would put in numbers by getting 85% response rate. That's pretty high. That's really good. We were able to retain 10% more year over year. I don't know your numbers. And quite frankly, they don't know your numbers either. So do what you must, right? What matters here is you understand the process and you can explain the process of what you did, right? Um, what else? I had one more point. Okay. And CSMs are usually external facing, meaning that you have clients that you're helping externally. So let's say you work at Zoom, you will be working with all the other companies who use Zoom to teach them how to use Zoom effectively, right? And I think if you work in HR, you might get stuck here because you're thinking to yourself, how do I explain how I can help people externally? Because it is a slightly different beast. My argument here is that each department that you working as HR, because when you're working with HR and you're doing things like even performance reviews or employee surveys, you might do for the whole company, but you're responsible for translating that or supporting specific teams and making that happen for real, right? So each department that you support is essentially a client account, right? Because you're analyzing needs, you're designing tailored solutions, and you're maintaining relationships, right? So it's essentially customer success inside the walls of the same company. So if you were to reframe it, you would say something like, so you would say supporting multiple teams is managing the client portfolio because in HR, you're partnering with different departments, each with its unique goals, personalities, and challenges, and you're adapting your communication and solutions accordingly, and you're also keeping track of all of them, right? So, as a CSM, you would say you manage multiple clients, each with different use cases, success metrics, and expectations, right? So, I manage a portfolio of 20, I don't know, internal clients across multiple departments, tailoring solutions to their goals, maintaining strong relationships and ensuring alignment between leadership priorities and team needs. And you can even make this maybe like business metrics or business alignment, business priorities, right? Because ultimately, the reason why a company is using a tech tool or a SaaS tool is because they want to meet a specific need, right? You're using Zoom because you want to make sure that your workers are able to talk to each other, they're able to talk to other people. That's why you pay for Zoom, right? So if for whatever reason, let's say Zoom keeps glitching and freezing all the time, then that is not fulfilling business metrics. So you would want to fix that as a CSM, or at least tell someone to fix it, right? So I say all this to say, as an HR person, let's say you wanted to move over to be a customer success manager, and you're an HR person who's coming from insurance, finance, that's the main thing that's coming to my head right now. Retail, hospitality, anything of that nature, travel, right? You can HR is HR wherever you are. You can bring that over to those same skill sets. You can bring that over to tech as a CSM, right? And stakeholder management is client management. Employee engagement is customer engagement. Process improvement is product adoption strategy. Supporting multiple teams is managing a client portfolio, right? So you need to change um, how you talk about the skills and the impact that you have, right? Um, and I also wanted to talk about this one more thing here. If you're looking for your skills, your core skills, some simple questions you can ask yourself today is, what do people consistently come for me to help with, right? So if every time someone comes to you, they're always asking about how do I manage difficult conversations, right? How do I document properly? That's something that you should lean into and then hype up in your resume, in your interview. Two, when do I feel most energized and effective? Right? Keep note of that. And then three, what kinds of problems do I naturally want to solve, no matter the industry? So if you always want to make sure people are enabled and equipped to do their job well, then that's a core skill set that you might want to consider. So those answers reveal your transferable skills, and then you take it a step further, and then you attach it to your impact, right? Because the transferable skill and the impact, that's the currency for career pivots. Because ultimately, what you want to show to people is, hey, not only do I have the skill set, I'm able to make you money, or save you time. Right. So when you understand your skill set, you stop chasing job titles and start designing your direction. That's when resume writing feels different, interviews different, uh, cold outreach and networking feels different. Because you walk in talking about your results, like you're walking the talk, you're talking the walk, whatever the saying is. You're talking about results and not responsibilities, right? And that's where people who are in a hiring position see you as a solution. They see you as someone to invest in rather than a risk, right? Because the whole pivoting thing doesn't really matter if I feel confident that you can solve my problems. And you prove that you can solve your problems by saying, these are the skills that I've used and I've honed. Is it Malcolm Gladwell that did the 10,000 hours? My take on that is that the more you pivot, I think you even submit. I mean, it was debunked that you need 10,000 hours, but the whole idea is that you need practice. And I would rather someone who has practiced communication in several different settings, and each time they've been able to have difficult conversations in different spaces and be successful, than someone who has been successfully navigating the same person for the past 10 years, right? Like if I don't know, Karen from legal is your only person example. Mm, maybe you're good, or maybe you just know how to handle Karen. But if you've been able to handle several forms of difficult conversations across different teams and industries, you probably are good at what you do. I hope that makes sense, right? So if you're stuck thinking no one wants to hire me, I promise you, it's not just about your resume. It's about your story. How are you crafting your story, your skills, your impact, right? Um, I just want us to get to that understanding. So if you love this, thank you so much for watching this far. I have so many other videos that talk about your skill sets, pivoting, leveling up. And if you have any questions or just thoughts, put them in the comments. I'm happy to reply, make other videos, and expand on this video. Alrighty. Thank you for watching. I will see you on the next video.